One is a grown man with an encyclopedic knowledge of cinema. The other, a man-child raised by the more questionable corners of the internet. What happens when they each dive into something the other one loves? Find out on
The Man with No Brain.
All right, Ryan, the floor is yours.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Monkey sounds.
And welcome to the second episode of The Man with No Brain, a podcast where two guys with massively different tastes and life experiences try to find common ground in examining each other's interests. My name is Ryan Matthew Ziegler, and I'm joined by the man with no brain himself,
Joseph Robert Buckley.
Joe Buckley. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good. Well, you know what? I mean, we do have a lot of differences, but I did notice whenever we were at the YMCA filming something, we have the exact same penis size, 3.1 inches.
First of all,
yes,
Joe,
yeah.
when were we at the YMCA together?
We were filming something for Butcher the Bakers, I remember, at the YMCA. I think we were filming like some death scenes or something.
I don't think I ever went there.
Okay, yeah, it was. I think it might have been pickups. So yeah. I was filming some documentary footage, I think.
Okay, but what I'm saying is I don't think I was at the YMCA. So for you to see my genitalia, it wouldn't have been at the YMCA.
Okay, I might have been. I think I might have got confused for a different time I saw your penis.
Perhaps you've got me mistaken with, your father.
No.
Or a random stranger.
My cousin Tad.
I tell you this.
Yes.
Speaking of YMCA.
Okay.
I remember years ago, probably 10 years ago, I would go to this. It was like a YMCA. It was called the Metro Center.
Okay.
And it was like a YMCA. It was just a gym. And there was this one guy, and he was like a local doctor in town. And he, anytime you saw him in the locker room, he was always naked.
Oh, yeah.
Like he had no problem being naked all the time. Like you'd have a conversation. He'd be standing there naked. You'd be changing into your clothes or maybe using the showers. Nah, he'd be naked the whole time. And he used to dry off his nethers with the hand dryers.
Well, that's not bad. You just stick them right up on in there. You jam your PP in the little slot.
Well, he wasn't jamming anything into anything.
Okay.
He wasn't burning anything off. But you'd walk around the corner, and this dude would be trying his best. He's got one leg propped up on the bench, another leg up on the wall, and he'd be drying his bits and pieces.
He's just got got a handful of paper towels, and he's trying to grab his junk with them. He's trying to just really trying to dry his penis.
And he was an older guy too. He was an old doctor.
Well, that's my favorite kind of guy, an old guy.
I don't know why I just thought of that. Well, yeah, you talk about YMCA and wieners. I guess that's the first.
That's what's going to come up. You just a sagging ball sack, maybe a 3-inch penis. I understand what you're saying.
So anyway,
so I was going to ask you, what did you do since the last recording?
Not much, man. I haven't done a lot. I watched a few movies. I got a bunch of Blu-rays recently.
Ooh, what'd you pick up?
I got The Pit.
More like the shit.
It's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
It's a Canucksploitation movie, Canada exploitation movie. It's not bad. Kino Lorber put it out, so it was pretty. It's got some special features on it. But yeah, just a couple of movies, hanging out, and that's about it. It's pretty warm here now, so it's been like 80s last couple of days. So I've been trying to get out, doing my social distancing, wearing a mask, doing my thing. Went to the store.
Yeah, I forgot to bring my mask today. I'm accidentally exposing Tyler to the non-masked Buckley.
Do you have a mask?
My mother gave me one. Yes. I wouldn't have gone out and bought one.
I don't know what sort of immunity you have in general. I don't know how you handle when you get sick.
Yeah.
I don't want you getting COVID.
Oh, no, I understand. I've actually started listening to our president. I've just started injecting bleach into my scrotum.
Anyways, let's begin. So we gave each other an assignment like we do on the show.
Yeah.
Something that the other person enjoys.
Yeah.
That perhaps the other person might not dig into.
Yeah.
And Joe will go. I think we'll always start with you.
Okay. Well, I did procrastinate a little bit, and I decided to watch it right before we decided to record. But actually,
once again, we're an hour late.
Well, no. Here's what I was thinking. I'm gonna go in fresh. I'm gonna go in like golden. I just watched this film. I got everything to say about it.
And so the assignment I gave you is the 1969.
Yeah, Sam Peckinpah film.
The Wild Bunch.
Yep.
One of my favorite Westerns.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, initially you told me that you're not a big fan of Westerns.
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of them.
Have you? What have you seen? What have you seen?
Well, I have.
For the Wild Bunch.
I've seen Django Unchained and Hateful Eight. I'd call those Westerns.
Yeah, they're Westerns, yeah.
I saw The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, but I have not seen For a Few Dollars More or A Fistful of Dollars.
Any classic Westerns? Any John Wayne?
No, John Wayne. Oh, I did see The Ridiculous Six. That counts, right?
I'm surprised you sat through an Adam Sandler movie on your own.
I think the director may or may not have forced me to watch it on Netflix, because I wouldn't dare watch a Sandler film that's not a drama.
So essentially, you're going into this movie with, not a lot of previous experience with Westerns in general.
Yeah, basically blind in terms of the Westerns.
So real quick, one of the big things about The Wild Bunch, one of the many reasons it's so beloved and considered such a classic and an important part of, Western cinema, American cinema, really, is it's what is called a revisionist Western.
Okay.
In the early days of movies and for decades, and even Western TV shows, the delineation between good guys and bad guys was always pretty sharp. It was black hat, white hat. Guys were bad guys or guys were good guys, and that was it.
The sheriff and the burglar.
Exactly. There wasn't a lot of ambiguity or, between characters. With these revisionist Westerns, like The Wild Bunch is, characters had questionable morals. There wasn't necessarily good guys, bad guys. In The Wild Bunch, one could argue that every single character you see,
they're just a bastard. Yeah,
they're all bad guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. I don't want to see no lily-lipped, white-hatted heroes. I want to see a bunch of bad, nasty, cigar-chomping scoundrels.
You get a lot of that in The Wild Bunch.
Oh, hell yeah.
A lot of classic, great actors in this movie. William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Warren Oates, Ben Johnson. It's a long roster of just classic actors of the period. So we'll go in right away, Joe.
Okay.
Kind of give me your synopsis of what The Wild Bunch is about.
All right, so let's see. There's a leader. He's ushering all his men into town, right? And they got a big heist coming. There's a railroad that's supposed to be getting in piles and piles of silver dollars. And so they go into the railroad, they take everybody hostage, they point guns at everybody, and then they load up their wagons, but they see that, like, the sheriff and his posse are up on top of roofs pointing rifles at them. So they decide to wait until, like, these filthy, disgusting Christians come by singing about how you shouldn't touch your penis. And yeah. And then they push the bank teller out. They go in, guns a-blazing, bang, 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 bang. Some of the Wild Bunch are killed, but most of them make it out alive. And they ride their horses into what was it? It was like basically an encampment. They've kind of set up to hook up with the old man character, like he's an outlaw who's been around for one heist too long, and his teeth are rotten, and he's just coughing up phlegm. So they look into these bags that they stole from the railroad, and they're just full of silver washers. They basically just stole garbage. They're like raccoons.
Yeah, they were tricked.
Yep. So they decide, okay, we got to come up with like a brand new heist. This is going to be our last one, and then we're going to retire. We're going to be sitting in Florida in Disney World. That was around back then, right?
1913, so no.
Damn.
But in their world, they're going to this camp was similar to, a standard family going to Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
So a lot of adventures. It's a good time.
I saw some fireworks being lit off. There were some naked chicks.
There are some fireworks in the movie. There are.
Yeah. So basically, they get word that the U.S. Army is going to be transporting a shitload of rifles and ammunition, and the Mexican president or military leader would like them to steal all these guns for the Mexican army to use, and he's going to pay them 10,000 gold pieces to do it. They go over there. They take half of the train. From, they, undo, the belts, like how a train has a belt, keeping its pants up?
Yeah. Its
train pants. And they're able to steal all the rifles and shit and just go west with it. The train's going east, or actually, it's stuck there. And, they do a thing where they unload all the rifles and then they send the train back and ram it into the U.S. Army. Yeah. So then, they're taken off in, a carriage, and they decide, okay, we got a plan. They're gonna chase after us, right? So if we blow up the bridge from after we cross it and we blow it up, they won't be able to chase us. So they do that, but then the wagon wheel gets stuck in the bridge, so they're trying to push it off. There's people shooting at them. They accidentally kill one of the U.S. Army people, so now the U.S. Army is going to be after them. And then they do that. They blow up the bad railroad man who's been chasing after him, and he lands in the water with his men and a couple horses. So, okay, so they go meet up with the general, but then they know, okay, they're going to probably just shoot us and take all the rifles, so we need a little plan, right? So they hook up their own horse carriage with dynamite, and they're going to blow it up if there's any funny business. And then everybody dies, nobody gets the guns. So then what they do is basically they send off, they go to, like, set up a little encampment, and then they send off people in pairs, like, hey, we'll tell you where 20 guns are buried, you give us some gold. And then they do that a couple times. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a man there who's loyal. He's a Mexican who's loyal to his people, and he took his share of gold in exchange for a case of guns and a case of ammunition. But earlier on in the movie, he did piss off the general because he shot his, like, basically pimp, because the pimp used to be his wife.
Essentially, his woman ran off with the general, and then early in the movie when they meet up with at the camp, and he loses his mind in anger and jealousy and shoots her while she's sitting on the lap of the general.
Yes.
And that's essentially, and to smooth things over, that's essentially why the Wild Bunch agrees to help the general with this heist, get the guns, and that's kind of the inciting incident which leads them to the main meat of the plot of the Wild Bunch.
Yeah.
Angel's a very important character to all of this.
Yeah, he's what makes the walls crumble down.
Yeah, he wants to steal one of those crates, of those 16 or whatever crates of rifles, and give it to his people who are against the general and Mapache, or against Mapache. It's essentially, and it's his revenge. And he says, I won't take any gold if you let me do that.
Yeah.
So basically, they're going to steal one crate of guns from Apache and his people.
Yeah. So basically, the general is still holding a grudge from whenever his chick got shot. So he strings up poor Angel. He's running him. He's basically almost. He's got him tied to a car. He's like one of the only people who has a car in the Wild West, and he's just like, he's yeah. So
no, it's like, go on.
No, yeah. So after that, so basically they decide, hey, we can't let them keep torturing our man. The Wild Bunch has to take a stand and really demand our man back. So you think everything's gonna go good, but instead the general slits Angel's throat. Pike shoots the general, and then all hell breaks loose. Everybody gets shot. The end of the movie.
Joe, that is you watched the movie.
Hell yeah.
You definitely watched. There's a few little things in there, a little few important pieces that you missed.
Yeah.
But you got the movie, man. I mean, that's the big thing is the plot synopsis of the Wild Bunch. So before we dive into it, what did you think of the movie overall?
I thought it was very good. I mean, I was so basically I knew going into this that the Wild Bunch is like very important to cinema. It kind of started the whole bloodshed craze in terms of movies, because, I mean, filmed in 69, not 96, 69. Night of the Living Dead was 68, and basically that's the thing that kind of broke the MPAA, or that's the thing that formed the MPAA and broke the Hays Code. Oh, and so this is 1 year after the Hays Code was broken, the MPAA came into existence, and they basically wanted to slap this film with an X rating because it was so violent in terms of squibs going off and people getting holes blown in their chest and naked women just running amok, their boobies bouncing. The MPAA is basically a horribly corrupt organization of disgusting white Christians who just hate everything to do with film. So they'll basically slap an NC-17 onto whatever they can get their hands on.
And so it's essentially, around this time period, and you're correct, around this time period as far as the violence is concerned. Another movie, Bonnie and Clyde, Arthur Penn's movie.
Iconic last shootout.
That also had a very big violent shootout, because movies up to this point, movies and of course television shows, especially in Westerns, the violence wasn't very overt.
Yeah.
Of course, people are getting shot all the time, getting killed and hung and stuff, but you never saw it. It wasn't graphic. It wasn't in your face. And what Peckinpah did with the Wild Bunch and what Arthur Penn did with Bonnie and Clyde and stuff is the violence is very visceral. It's very real. I mean, there's squibs and things are in slow motion and,
just holes being blown in the back of the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's the body count in the Wild Bunch is humongous. I mean, people are getting killed left and right.
What I was gonna say, what I would have loved is for some extra. He gets a hole like blown into the front of his pants, and he just grabs his crutch and he screams, "My pee-wee, my pee-wee!"
Do you honestly think that would have added to the experience of the Wild
think
Bunch?
it would
Would that have added to the tone of the film?
Well, in terms of the tone, well, there's a lot of comedy. There is a lot of laughs you can have throughout the movie, so I think that might have worked. Maybe not in the last shootout, but maybe like in the middle somewhere. Like maybe like a U.S. guard gets like a hole blown in his penis, and he screams out, "My peep! Oh! Oh!" And he would have felt so bad for this poor man, because he has no penis now.
I mean, do you feel that bad for the guy in RoboCop when that happens to him?
Well, he's a rapist, so I think that's justified. But like just some poor man who's strutting along, he's just trying to serve the military, and now he's got no penis. That cannot stand.
You think it would have added some pathos to the story?
I think it would have.
There are, bodies on all sides.
Absolutely,
There are innocent people in the wake of the Wild Bunch.
Yeah, because these people are stealing gold, they're running amok, and now they've blown a hole in my man's pee-pee. They've got to go down.
And I forgot to ask you this before I got your synopsis.
Oh, okay.
What was your experience watching the Wild Bunch? I mean, I know you watched it just before we started recording this. Did you have anything to eat while you were watching it? Anything to drink? What was the experience that you had as you watched the movie?
So I got some nice Chinese food last night, right? But I didn't eat all of it, and I didn't eat most of the rice. So I took my rice out of the fridge, and I ate it cold, but I also had some leftover sauce from the orange chicken I had ate all of yesterday, and I just mixed it all together and ate some of that while I was watching it, and that was a good meal.
Wait a minute, leftover sauce?
Well, I had like 2 or 3 pieces.
In packets?
No. Like basically you get like the orange chicken all mixed together in sauce when you do it, and it's one big container of chicken rice sauce. So I just had all the sauce left over on that side, on the chicken side, but no chicken. So I took all the rice and mixed it together.
Oh, okay.
And I felt like I was eating like almost like a stew, like the Wild Bunch. It really added to my immersion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you have anything to drink? Do you have a sip?
I had some
coffee.
No, I had some warm root beer that I had on my floor previously, and I kept picking it up and taking hits out of it like I was taking whiskey.
I have a theory about root beer. And and you'll appreciate this because you love soda.
Okay, let's hear it.
And it goes along with my theory of orange soda and grape soda. Those are in my estimation, those are the only 3 sodas that it doesn't matter all that much what brand it is.
I can see what you're saying.
As opposed to a cola. A cola, if you get a Meyer cola from Meyer, or you get Sam's Choice, or you get any sort of store brand cola, it's usually dog shit. It usually can't hold a candle to your Pepsis, your Cokes.
I know what you're saying.
Even your RCs.
Yeah, maybe like some Chapo's cola from it's a 50-cent can that you can get out of a machine.
And same goes with like the Dr. Pepper knockoffs and the Mountain Dew knockoffs. But with orange soda, is there really much of a difference between the store brand orange soda and the Sunkist?
In my experience, some of it is a little bit flatter.
Is it?
Some of it's a little bit blander or flatter, but it's all drinkable for the most part.
Do you have a favorite brand of root beer?
I'm gonna go A&W. Yeah, that shit's good. I don't really do Barks because that's a bit bitter.
Yeah, it's got. I think Barks isn't Barks the only root beer that has caffeine in it.
Yeah, it's the only one that has caffeine to give you a kick when you're up in the morning, and you're like, "Listen, honey, I gotta go into work at 5 a.m. Give me my goddamn Barks. Give me my root beer."
Barks was the energy drinks before energy drinks.
Yeah. Oh, and they had cocaine in it, I bet too.
Maybe. Do you know if there's an energy drink called cocaine?
My life would be so much more better if I could just snort cocaine everywhere I went.
Joe.
Just think about how up I would be all the time.
You are out of control.
The perfect podcast.
You are always out of control.
That's what people say.
I don't want you on any substance. I don't want you on downers. I don't want you on uppers.
Okay.
Caffeine is about where I think we should draw the line.
Okay. I do go to restaurants and some waitresses say, "Excuse me, sir, you are too loud. You need to be more quiet." But that's just who I am.
Now, at family gatherings, does this same apply? Or let's say you're at the Thanksgiving table. Does your family tell you to be quiet?
I think all the Buckleys are pretty loud. No, the whole Buckley clan is loud. We're loud people.
In my mind, when I think of the Buckleys having any sort of meal, let alone a big family meal like a Thanksgiving or an Easter dinner, I imagine, in The Hobbit, the beginning of The Hobbit, when all the dwarfs are around there and they're just throwing food in the air and singing and dancing and just being
their hairy feet are up up on the table in like the Thanksgiving pie.
The sweaty, obese, loud. That's how I imagine every Buckley family get together is. So whenever I watch The Hobbit, I feel like
we're not that fat.
I feel like I'm at the Buckley show.
What you should think about is like their neighbors three doors down, and like it's some old man with just a pillow over his ears, gritting his teeth because the Buckleys are at it again.
Do you know your neighbors?
No, I have no idea who those people are. I know my neighbors. I sometimes call them uncle, but that's a story for. Yeah.
That's a story for the therapist.
Well, I've gone. Whatever.
Did your parents know your neighbors? Is there a relationship, like a friendly relationship?
Yeah, I think they do.
Has there ever been any arguments between your father or your mother and the neighbors over maybe the lot line or mowing or loudness or the smelly son that never leaves the house or anything like that?
Well, there would be nothing to complain about because the non-smelly son is always in the house, so they don't even see him, so why would they be complaining? But no, there is a big issue because my parents are on, like, the village board, and, like, I guess some stray cats have been pissing on their flowers. So that's a big deal. That's something.
Whose flowers?
On one of my neighbors. They have some nice daffodils and shit.
And what is the course of action? What have they decided?
I don't believe they have done anything about that.
Now you have many cats.
I've got 3 cats. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're pretty kitties.
Well, why don't you just adopt these stray cats? Bring them in your home.
We can't have any more cats.
Why?
My mom is very worried about being an old cat lady.
Well, she's got a husband. She's not going to end up being an old cat lady. She's got a husband and kids. She's not going to end up being an old cat lady.
Hey, she's got a husband. He keeps eating them cherry pies like there's no tomorrow. She might not have a husband for much longer, let me tell you.
What, cherry pies?
Oh, yeah.
Is he really eating cherry pie?
No, not really. I think he has one occasionally.
Joe Buck. All right, anyway, back to the task at hand.
Yeah, back to the film, yeah.
So, what did you get out of The Wild Bunch? Does it make you want to go watch more Westerns? Does it make you want to watch more Sam Peckinpah films?
No, I want to go right home, put on my PS3 and play Red Dead Redemption. Because it felt almost exactly like that video game. And I just want to be on a horse. I want to be shooting people with my 6-shooter. I just want to be lassoing people and tying them up to my horse and running amok.
Now, normal, a lot of times I'm going to, whether it's a movie or any activity or something, an interest that I have, I'm going to usually probably choose things that I don't think you would go after on your own. However, when I told you about The Wild Bunch, you did say that this was something you'd been wanting to see for a long time.
Yeah, this has been on my list. I mean, I know it's a very influential movie, so I mean, I was excited to see it. It was something I was probably gonna watch one of these days, but you got a big list of movies, and everything goes somewhere in the middle.
So, do you intend on watching any more Sam Peckinpah movies?
Yeah, I still need to see Straw Dogs. That's on my list.
My favorite is Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia.
Oh, okay, I heard of that. I didn't know that was Peckinpah, so yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, he made that a couple of years after Wild Bunch.
Nice.
That also has Warren Oates in it. Also has Emilio Fernandez, Mapache's in that. So, yeah, that's my favorite of all the Peckinpah. But I would recommend just seeing all of his movies, man.
Sure.
Even his lesser stuff later on, like Convoy, later on in his career.
Yeah. Look Who's Talking Now. He did that one.
I would have loved to see a Look Who's Talking movie directed by Sam Peckinpah.
He did the live-action Tom and Jerry movie.
It'd be violent as hell.
Yeah. Well, Tom and Jerry's a very violent cartoon. That poor mouse, or that poor cat, keep getting tortured by that mouse, that filthy mouse.
There'd be prostitutes everywhere.
Oh, God, that would be cool.
Nobody would be a good guy. Everybody would be bad.
Here's a little bit of trivia for you. Cats actually have a spiky penis. So a cat prostitute, that would just be awful to look at, let me tell you.
I know this information.
Yep.
All right, so Wild Bunch, man, you liked it. You happy with it?
They're dirty. They smell bad. Here's probably why the Wild Bunch kept getting caught, because you could smell them coming in a mile away.
But if everybody stinks, then nobody stinks. You know what I mean?
But everybody has their own stink. Everybody has their own unique stink, and these people smell like copper and horse. Just horse.
Who do you think of the Wild Bunch? Out of all of the main gang there, who do you think was probably reeked the worst?
Oh, I think probably Pike. He's the leader. He's responsible for the most stench of his boys. He makes sure his boys takes a bath, but not him. I'm
going to go ahead and say Warren Oates, which is one of the brothers.
Yeah.
He just, Warren Oates in general seems filthy in every movie. He just seems like he's dirty and stinky. He's one of my favorite actors.
I mean, people would say that I smell like orange chicken, I think, if I was in this movie.
Well, you probably smell like orange chicken right now, because I guarantee there's a healthy amount dried on one of your chins.
I may have spilled some sauce on my shirt. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be holier than thou. I do have some orange chicken sauce all over the front of my shirt.
There was a time period where I didn't have a washer dryer, and I used to have to go to a laundromat. several years.
Okay.
And so I hated doing that. So I would try to conserve my clean clothes as long as possible. I tend to be sloppy when I eat. And so I would make it a point to eat with my shirt off.
Sure.
I always ate with my shirt off because if I slop shit on myself, I could just, wash off with a rag. But if I had a shirt on and I dropped some, chili on it or something, then I'd have to go to the laundromat. So for years I would
you just get a little bit of Whopper juice drizzled on your nipple.
And so now, where I live now, I still sometimes now it feels weird eating with the shirt off.
Absolutely, I can feel you.
My own home.
I've been on a quest to be a little bit more naked than I have been in my life.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times, I think coming up, you'll probably hear that like I watched one of these films completely in the nude.
Well, if that adds to your experience, Joe, that adds to your experience.
Well, I was gonna say, do you ever do a thing where like you're just like laying in bed and you just gotta grab your genitals to make sure they're still there? Because I do that all the time.
No, I don't. I've never wondered if any of my appendages were still attached.
I have to make sure that my balls are still connected to the. I just keep grabbing at them.
All right. Any more bits, Joe?
No, I don't believe I have any more bits. All right, so let's go into The Shining.
So the assignment that I was given is I had to watch several YouTube videos, little documentaries, about the various theories attached to The Shining. Now, if you ever go to our channel, Malevolent Movies on YouTube, which is our main channel, where we've got
a great commentary on The Shining.
Yeah, we have a commentary with Joe and I on The Shining, and it's historically. I'm known for not being the biggest fan of The Shining.
Yeah.
I respect the movie. I understand the movie. For me, it's never been one of my favorites. I do think at the end of the day, when all is said and done, any other cliche I can come up with, that The Shining is overrated.
That's hard to hear.
I'm not saying it's bad. I would never say it's bad, whether I like it or not. I know it's not a bad film. Of course it's not.
Yeah.
I think it's overrated.
Here's what I would say. I would say it's underrated because it's not like kids don't have to just watch this in kindergarten.
So if you go listen to that commentary, Joe and I yell at each other a lot about The Shining and the theories and stuff like that. Joe has been hammering these theories home to us.
I absolutely believe a lot of them
on the Malevolent Movies crew forever, and our argument was always that it wasn't Joe's original thought. This was Joe regurgitating stuff that other film historians and other film experts have theorized and came up with. And now
that's what you have to do in order to learn.
Now more than ever, I know that is true because watching these 4 videos that you assigned me are almost verbatim shit that I've heard you gurgle out of your throat at me concerning The Shining.
That's just not fair. I mean, you have to watch people and learn what they have to say in order to form your own opinion.
I know, but what I'm saying is, watching this, there was nothing in this video that you haven't said 100% verbatim, but I've never heard you add anything to these. But let's just go for the first videos I watched. It was a 2-part video, and it was about the space of the set.
Here, before we get into all that, I wanted to say first of... like basically I want to go over like some of the conspiracy theories I don't believe in before we get into the ones I do believe in.
Okay, so basically what I watched were the things that you do believe.
Yeah, I completely believe in the stuff you watched.
All right, well, go ahead.
Well, hey, this is my part. I'm in charge. All
right, I got headphones on, Joe.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell. I just get anxious.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't believe that Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing.
Okay.
Some people say that he did. Some people say like basically he went to go film 2001: A Space Odyssey. He got special lenses from NASA. He owed them a favor. He faked the moon landing for the U.S. government, and we never went to the moon at all. And there's evidence hidden in The Shining of him confessing that he did, in fact, fake the moon landing. Danny's wearing, like, an Apollo 11 t-shirt.
Okay.
That was custom-made. I don't believe that's really true. I think we probably actually landed on the moon. Maybe just not in the time frame that the U.S. government maybe alleged. I don't know.
Now, where did that theory come from?
I mean, this...
Like, why do people think these?
Because basically, I mean, Kubrick was heavily involved with NASA to make 2001. So, like, if anybody would have helped them fake the moon landing, it would have been him because he had a great eye for special effects. He was doing stuff in 2001 that people thought was, like, real. Like, in terms of, like, people thought the monkeys weren't actually people in suits. So, like, if...
Yeah, but, you know, Douglas Trumbull was the man behind all those effects in 2001.
But Kubrick could have got him back if he needed to. Like, Kubrick was in charge of everything, so he could have...
So
Basically, he had an eye for piecing everything together. If anybody would have faked the moon landing, it probably would have been Kubrick.
but you're totally against that theory.
No, yeah, I don't believe that happened. That's why it came into prominence, though. Like,
All right, so what's one of the other theories?
So there's a big documentary out there called Room 231,
Mm-hmm.
and basically the whole thing's almost full of crackpots. Somebody says that Kubrick inserted an image of his face into the clouds whenever the title screen comes on and you see the credits roll through.
Mm-hmm.
And that just seems to be completely made up because there's no evidence for that online in terms of a screen grab of anything like that existing. So I think they just kind of let like a raving man into the documentary for some reason.
Okay.
Someone else says that Stanley Kubrick intended basically for the movie to be played both backwards and forwards and then on top of each other. So what you do is you take the movie and then you take the movie again and you turn it backwards and then you play them both on top of each other and that's shots line up, he says.
And have you tried this on your own?
Well, I haven't tried this on my own, but in the Room 237 documentary, they show a couple of the shots he's talking about. Like basically, I think one of them is like the photograph with Jack at the very end of the movie lines up with the Shining title.
Okay.
And then also but I mean, that makes sense because it's like 2 minutes in and then 2 minutes out. That's normally where it would be.
Yeah.
And then also, there's a shot of Jack looking very menacingly into the camera, and then that lines up pretty well with a shot of the twins covered in blood, and it makes it look like he's covered in blood.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think, like, basically, you could do that with almost any film, and you'll get some interesting-looking shots that kind of line up, because everything's in the center of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, normally, everything's going to be in the center of the camera, so everything will line up, and then you just have to take interesting screen grabs.
Okay.
And they'll work out.
Any other theories?
There was somebody else who believed that because you could see a minotaur on a poster in the background of a shot, that it's like the whole film is an allusion to the minotaur and the maze myth.
Well, because I'm gonna find it interesting what theories you don't believe in yet, what theories you do believe in. I think it opens up the Buckley head a little bit. We start to dig in a little bit to find that brain.
Yeah.
The no brain that's in there.
My gray matter is plump and full of thoughts.
To see what ones you believe and what ones you don't believe. So the ones you do believe in.
Yes.
You essentially, the 4 videos that I watched today.
Yeah.
The first one was about the use of space in the film. The use, how, in other words, how in the film characters walk into doors on sets, and then on the other side of that door, the rooms, don't match up from like an architecture standpoint. Yeah, like from an architecture standpoint.
Basically, the whole hotel is a set, and it makes absolutely no sense whenever you're looking at the whole thing as a whole. Like, basically, there's, like, winding corridors that just go nowhere. There's like Ullman's office. It's in like the middle of the hotel, and there's a window behind him with light shining through it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different things of like the building just making no sense at all. And I think
now with the video. Oh, go ahead.
Well, it seems like our producer is showing me a GIF of a man fucking another man up the ass, and the first man's dick is spinning around in a circle, and then
is that the old meat spin?
I believe if there is sound, you spin me right round, to be playing.
That's an absolute class. That's more classic than The Shining.
No,
Meat spin is more classic than The Shining itself.
Absolutely not.
Meat spin has brought more joy to the eyeballs.
No.
Meat spin was classic, man, because that's the thing. You'd be on Instant Messenger or something, and you would tell your friend, like, hey, I saw a new website. In your case, would be like, hey, there's a new website all about The Shining, conspiracy theories and bears and humping the kangaroos. Here, let me send you the URL. He'd send the URL, and they click on it, and you would just wait a few seconds until they responded. You fucker.
What you do is you go up to your dad and you say, Dad, could I please use your work printer? This is very, very important. And you say, okay, fine, son, go ahead. And then you print out an image of this man's dick and a dick inside him, and then you bring it to show and tell, and you're like, this is what I want to show and tell you all about. There's a man fucking another man on the internet.
I'd imagine that'd get you expelled from school. and you probably get some
I don't think
some
expelled.
forced psychological
You
help.
may have to go to a counselor once or twice a year, but I don't think you're getting expelled for that.
This is very interesting, Joe, because at the top of the episode, you brought a note to Ryan about too many tangents. And now here you are talking about two men having sex with each other.
You showed me the image. You showed me. You showed me gay pornography, and now all of a sudden I'm the one who can't get the image out of my head of people just fucking two men.
But
Is that what you're saying?
sometimes a professional has to stay on task, even though there are things all around him. When we would do
Well, I understand.
live broadcasts, I'd be standing in a fucking grocery store trying to talk about whatever specials they got going on. I got people walking by you, and you got carts banging around you, and you had to stay on task.
Yeah, just two teens sucking each other's dicks near the plantains.
So I totally forgot what you were talking about before the meats fit.
Oh, so in terms of the spatial set, basically. So basically, I think that Stanley Kubrick designed this hotel to be kind of like a mind fuck in terms of what you're looking at, because that would disorientate the viewer and make it seem like they're kind of lost in a maze, which plays a very big part in the film in terms of the
Because I
maze
tell you,
itself.
it's a pretty normal thing with movies that interiors and exteriors are two totally different places.
Well, it is.
And so often, if you want to examine movies where there's the outside house and then the inside, a lot of times things don't match up. If you actually wanted to look at the placement of windows and doors with the interiors, I mean, that's a very common thing in general. And it's so common, I wouldn't even call them errors. I just would call that's movie making. But you're saying, and this video is saying, that Stanley Kubrick did this on purpose. Like he went above and beyond doing this because he wanted the disorientation, even on a subliminal level. Because a lot of people probably weren't paying attention to that in the cinemas, seeing in the theater anyway.
But in the back of your brain, basically, your brain recognizes that happened, even if you consciously don't.
I tell you this about the theory.
Yeah, okay, cool.
That's one I will buy.
Yeah.
That's one I will buy based on the video, based on, that one I could see a filmmaker, especially as eccentric and as sort of in a bubble as Kubrick was. I could see him wanting to do that since he's building a set anyway.
Yeah, you may as well use that to add to the horror of the film.
And I think it's interesting, and it adds something to the movie. It does add a dimension to the movie that I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, this is in the video you saw, but basically in between shots, like Kubrick would go in and pull out chairs and then use the same exact shot in between. So like while you're watching it, it goes from face, cut to the other person's face, and then there's just like 3 chairs missing in between it.
It's interesting to do that. It's interesting that he would be willing to sacrifice the idea that he's going to get lambasted on a continuity level. Because normally when that happens, somebody's glass is half empty in one shot and half full in the other shot, or their hair's messed up or whatever, people go for broke on that.
Somebody's glasses falls off in the camera.
People go crazy on that. It's like, oh, look at that continuity error, blah, 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 blah. And of course, continuity people, that drives them crazy too. I mean, that's what they're on the set
They're
to
going to
avoid.
get fired because they did a bad job, yeah.
So I imagine if he was in fact doing that and it was on purpose, I think whoever was working continuity is probably, Jesus Christ, man.
They were probably pulling their hair out.
I mean, because, if people don't realize that was a Kubrick thing, that looks bad on them. Somebody watches the movie and looks at who the fuck was the continuity person.
Just in terms of sheer number of takes he would do of every single scene, you'd be 30 takes, like 60 takes, 100 takes.
Yeah.
If he didn't want this in the film, it wouldn't be in the film, like permanent. It just wouldn't be in there.
So moving on to the next video segment, which is the most controversial as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Is the whole theory that this guy, again, what was the guy's name? Rob? The videos
This is Rob Ager.
Rob Ager. Because I did look into his YouTube channel, look at what other movies, because he kind of rubbed me.
He's done a shit ton of them.
He kind of rubbed me wrong a little bit at first, because in this video, because he did that standard. Well, if you don't like this, go watch Escapist Fantasy. That kind of film.
Oh yeah,
I saw
that. He said Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but that kind of film snobbery that immediately means I'm done. I'm not listening. But I did look into the other videos that he made, and I didn't watch any of them yet. But he's got multiple videos on like fucking Death Wish 2.
Yeah, he loves Death Wish 2.
Which is, just I'm a fan. I love the Death Wish series and Charles Bronson's Michael Winner movies, but that one in particular, I will probably go back and listen to some of those videos because I'm curious. So he does show in his videos that he's not a 100% film snob. He does like some exploitation stuff. And
He's got multiple videos on Gremlins. He just really likes a kids movie about like monsters that come out.
so I want to preface that. But so this next video essentially is his theory on that the child in the movie, Danny Lloyd, the child character,
Yes.
the son, has been a victim of sexual abuse and molestation from
his father,
from the Jack Torrance character.
Yeah, and I fully buy this.
And this is one of those theories. This is one of those theories that you, with a sickening gleam in your eyeball, have screamed at all of us anytime The Shining is brought up. This is I feel, just from your behavior, that this is the theory that this is maybe your favorite theory on The Shining.
So much of this makes so much sense, and it completely changes the way the movie just kind of plays out in your mind now, because you can see so much about like how Jack is a bad father then throughout the whole thing, and how Danny is just a scared kid throughout the whole thing.
And watching the video, because I've never watched the video, all I knew about the theory was from you saying.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I still don't buy the theory.
You don't?
I still don't buy. No, I still don't.
There's a lot of good evidence he lays out for it.
But I will say that, well, anytime, if you want an idea to work, let's say you took any movie, you could take The Wild Bunch and you could come up with a theory. And if you wanted that theory to be true, you could find all sorts of stuff in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, the bullets in The Wild Bunch, actually, they're stand-ins for penises, because all the characters are struggling with their latent homosexuality.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you want to reverse engineer some sort of controversial edgelord opinion on any sort of movie, a person could do that. I'm not saying this guy's doing that. I'm not saying he did that. But what I'm saying is, when someone says, well, I've got all this evidence, and they point out all these things, some of them are interesting. Some of them,
I think the Playgirl is the smoking gun in this.
The Playgirl thing is weird.
Yeah, it's extremely weird.
When he was talking about on the cover of the Playgirl magazine, he says that there's an article on that actual issue of Playgirl. There's an article about incest.
Yes.
Okay. Above that, though, there's an article about David Soul from Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
Now, David Soul had the year before, or probably while they were shooting The Shining, had been the lead in Salem's Lot, Tobe Hooper's TV adaptation of Stephen King's novel. At this point, remember, at the point when he's making The Shining, there had only been a couple of Stephen King novels.
Yeah. Stephen King was very new to the scene. He had written a couple books. They did very well, and yeah.
Yeah. And we're so used to growing up with a bazillion Stephen King adaptations and then remakes.
Oh, well, he writes 10 a year. The man won't stop writing.
But at that point, at that period of time, as for when you had Carrie, you had The Stand, maybe The Shining, and Salem's Lot. I think those were the only 4 books. And by 1979, that Stephen King had out. Now, he had written short stories and magazines. I'm not the biggest Stephen King expert by any means. I love Stephen King, but so I could be.
Well, somebody else does bring up that he published some of his short stories in Playboy.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, could one maybe say that Playgirl magazine with the David Soul reference is referencing another Stephen King film adaptation?
Maybe.
I mean, at that point, there'd only been 2, Carrie and Salem's Lot. The Shining, I believe, was the 3rd Stephen King film adaptation. It was still a fairly new concept. The adaptation of Stephen King books, Stephen King, this hotshot new horror writer of the last couple of years. Perhaps that magazine was chosen because he was Stanley Kubrick was saying, fuck other adaptations, particularly the Salem's Lot one, because David Soul is the first article mentioned on the cover of that magazine.
Well, that's true, but if that was the case, then they could have picked something that wasn't gay pornography then for him to be reading. They could have got like a Rolling Stones article of him on the cover.
But what I'm saying, maybe there wasn't one at the time.
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure they could have picked up Fangoria or something, or who knows what.
My point is, if I wanted to read into that, if I wanted to read that this was Stanley Kubrick maybe he's one of the themes is he's thumbing his nose at other directors' adaptations of this new hotshot novelist books. I didn't really read too much into any of this other than that. But I wonder if I could find references to Carrie. I mean, could the blood pouring out of the elevator, could that be a reference to Carrie?
Well, here, I'll actually give you one.
The opening scene of Carrie?
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
But I can give you one, actually. In this one, I forget. So basically, they either drive up to the hotel in a yellow car or a red car, and it's a very specific model. So it's a deliberate altercation from the one in the book, and then while they're driving up there, they see the one from the book just stuck in the snow being towed away.
Okay. So, I mean, there you go. There's another little piece that could support the theory that I'm just making up right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I wanted to take a fine-tooth comb and go through the movie with this theory in mind and find things that I could push it.
You maybe could.
I could do that. That's my problem when it comes to when people that go into these really deep theories that are
what, gross?
I don't know how to say it. That kind of go against the grain of you're making a big budget movie for Warner Brothers.
But that Paul Verhoeven, for example, did that very well in RoboCop and Total Recall and Starship Troopers.
But that stuff was blatant.
Not to the audience.
Oh, I think RoboCop and Starship Troopers. I mean, RoboCop, he makes fake commercials to push it in your face. I mean, there's no subtlety to what Verhoeven's doing in RoboCop or Starship Troopers.
I've seen people online who they don't understand that Starship Troopers had anything to do with fascism.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell those people. I think it's pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
But whereas this molestation theme that this guy talks about in The Shining, that's stuff that your average, and he even admits it in the video. He's like, if I'm about to spoil your favorite horror movie with this.
Yeah, you got to go away.
He knows that this isn't something that your average viewer is going to catch.
No.
If this theory is real, you being the Stanley Kubrick super fan and The Shining super fan.
Oh yeah.
And admittedly, you being more of a, more well versed in The Shining than I am. Because I'm not a fan and I don't.
Yeah. I'd say that. Yeah, I've looked up a lot of shit about The Shining.
Why do you think that Stanley Kubrick, in this point in his career, in his life, decided to use this big budget adaptation of a very popular bestseller to explore this theme? Because this would have been Kubrick creating this.
Oh yeah, it's 100% Kubrick creating.
This wasn't something from the. So why do you think he would have done that?
Well, I think. So, but he had made Lolita earlier on in his career, so he's already kind of explored this theme. Basically, I think it adds so much horror to the movie. Like, basically, you don't have to worry about ghosts coming after you. You have to worry about your own dad, and that's true for a ton of people. So, basically, if he did actually put this in, it would make it one of the most horrifying films ever made.
But why? I mean, why do you think he chose that theme? I mean, there are other. I mean, the book itself. You know what I'm saying? The book itself covers themes of physical abuse. He's an alcoholic.
Well, and it goes into that in the movie as well. Yeah.
But why do you think Kubrick wanted it to go one step more horrific than just the alcohol? Just being physically abusive. Why do you think he would have chose to go even more horrible?
I think during the time this was filmed, I mean, basically everybody got hit by their dad. I mean, that wasn't. Physical abuse was ingrained in like the system of raising a child, so I don't think that would be too horrifying for most people.
So you think he wanted to go edgier?
Well, not edgier. I mean, if this is real and if this is filmed, basically in the movie, I mean, it wouldn't be edgy. It would be trying to give a voice to somebody who was abused and layering this in the movie so that subconsciously you would understand what this person was going through.
So what do you say then if that is the theme? And I'm just going, I don't buy it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
But I'm playing devil's advocate for the sake of this. So let's say that is exactly that was Stanley Kubrick's 100% intention. That was the reason he made this movie. Then what do you think he's saying with the end of the film? Where does Danny's future lie? Now, we know where Danny, the story, because we've got Dr. Sleep, but where do you think in Kubrick's vision?
Well, I mean, he overpowered his father. He was able to trick him and freeze him in the snow, and now he no longer has to deal with his father.
But then with the last shot of the movie.
Of the portrait?
Yeah.
Or the picture?
What is he saying then? From the thematic standpoint of the molestation, what do you think Kubrick's saying then?
Maybe that you can't ever completely escape it, that it's going to remain like pictures on a hallway.
Now, of all the theories then, because there's another video you had me watch, which has all kinds of other stuff. That one was the more frustrating one.
Well, here's the thing. Can you explain why Jack Nicholson had an erection throughout the entire film? Can you explain that away?
I can't say that he did.
If you go look in the behind-the-scenes photos,
No,
Stanley
I don't
Kubrick
want to look at the behind-the-scenes photo. I'm going to go by the movie.
It is clearly tucked underneath his pants, and it's the hard penis is just completely stuck, wedged in between his jeans and his underwear. It's clear as day.
In every single shot. So you're telling me in every single shot.
Yeah, every single one. Jack, there's some behind-the-scenes film of Stanley Kubrick taking a bottle of cold water and just spraying it down a little bit to try to put it back away, but he can't do anything about it.
I can't. I have no knowledge of any of this, so I can't really speculate on any of this. I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit on it, though. I'm going to go ahead and call because I know you, Joe Buckley.
What? Me? I'm not a fibber.
I know you. You're not a fibber, but you love a bit. You love a bit more than you like orange chicken.
Well, I don't think that's quite accurate.
But so at the end of all the end of the assignment, the spatial thing I thought was very interesting. And I could get on board with that.
Cool. Awesome.
It made me want to rewatch the movie. The movie.
Okay. Let's do a second commentary.
I'm not going to ever do a second commentary. I'm never going to watch The Shining with you again, Joe Buckley.
Well, let me tell you, would you rather watch The Shining with me again or bone Shelley Duvall, but modern day Shelley Duvall?
What do you mean, Shelley Duvall now as an elderly woman?
Yeah, as an elderly woman on Dr. Phil.
I don't want to. I'm not a Shelley Duvall fan as far as.
Okay. So we can plan the second commentary.
I don't find her attractive.
Okay. I think she kind of looks horsey, but she's a nice woman.
I think she's very talented.
Yeah.
In the other
extremely good in this one. You said you'd fuck the nun creature, though, remember?
Did I say that?
Yeah, you said you'd get all up in that nun, and she's just she's pale, and she's just...
Yeah.
Just, ooh.
So, anyways, but I'm not going to... The molestation thing, again, like I said, nobody can say for real, because Stanley Kubrick's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. He got killed by the government.
But what I take from this, and what I'm learning about you, Joe, from actually sitting and watching these things that you love, and not just dismissing them like I'd usually dismiss you and your feelings and etc., is you appreciate digging deeper into stuff.
Absolutely.
You like that. You like the idea of it's not just what's on the screen. It's not just what happens. It's not just plot. It's not just story. That some directors put more into. You're peeling back layers of an onion.
Yeah, I say fuck Occam's razor.
And that's some intellectual shit that I appreciate. It's not because a lot of times when you know Joe, when you truly know Joe, it's a lot of shock value. It's a lot of trying to get people's goat. It's a lot of pissing people off for the sake of pissing people off. It's shock value. He loves shock value. But when you look at it this way, there is a deeper side to Joe.
Could you say that my brain's grown 3 sizes today?
I'm not going to say 3 sizes. I'm not going to go that
1.5.
It's still very hollow in there. It's like a bird's bones. If I knock on it, it talks back to me.
It's like an owl. It regurgitates like little pouches of shit. You just open it up and it's full of bones from mice.
It's like the voices hidden on the soundtrack in The Shining, which I got from your video. Yeah. But I'm learning more. It has opened up a few doors on you, Buckley. And the fact that last week with La La Land and this week with The Wild Bunch, you've opened yourself up to the possibility of these films that you wouldn't normally touch. All except for Wild Bunch, you did say you would watch that, but.
Yeah.
La La Land, I know that was something that was never probably going to come across your radar.
No, I probably would have never got to it.
But there's more to you than meets the eye, Buckley.
Well, I try.
And I'm looking forward to, as long as we do this series of podcasts, to open your eyes to maybe some other stuff, some other ideas, other films, other maybe physical thing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'd say I'd like to open your eyes to just men gaping themselves on the internet, because that's
I'm never doing that. I'm telling you, Joe, there is a line, there's a border. Your assignment is not going to be willy-nilly. I was not excited by any means doing The Shining thing because of our history with The Shining and our history with you.
I'd like to do I wasn't happy. I'd like to do a history of goatsy.com. It's a great website.
Not everything is a free-for-all. And I'm going to say this goes for both of us. I'm going to be fair, but there can be a veto. There can be a veto in what you get. Like, I'm not just going to watch any old nasty-ass shit or read, for the shock value. I do have veto power on certain things, and it goes, but you can too with me. But I can promise you I'm not going to hit you with something that I think is going to...
Well, let me tell you, I don't want to see one second of Adam Sandler cracking a joke. I want to see him either crying...
I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. No, because I'm not a big Adam Sandler fan of either. And in general, no. I don't dismiss his audience as quickly as you do. And I think the guy's talented. But
Well,
you
he's
know,
extremely talented. Yeah, that's why I have such a big issue with him.
but no, I'm coming up with a list in my back pocket of all kinds of different stuff.
Nice, nice.
It's not just it's you know like it's not just gonna be film. It's not gonna be just art. I may I don't know. There may be physical assignments.
Okay. Like I have to go up and hug a woman.
We'll figure it out as we go along. This is a learning process.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm trying to learn. We're trying to fill the skull of the man with no brain.
Well, listen, there's so much cool stuff. I know all about Magic the Gathering. I know every single Pokemon that ever existed.
Oh God, I never realized you might have given me an assignment of something to do with fucking Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Well, I'm limited in that because I don't know anybody here that does that.
You
shit.
would know how to play it.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I can make you install an app on your phone and we can play a game.
Oh God.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Yeah, this is a bad one.
So there you go. There is episode number 2 of The Man with No Brain.
Hey, and we got more coming for you, people. Just stay excited.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Give a thumbs up.
Subscribe.
You got to go over to the Malevolent Movies YouTube channel. Subscribe over there. Watch some of the stuff we've got.
Yeah, if you've enjoyed what you've heard here, or even if you haven't, you'll probably find something to like over at Malevolent Movies. The Malevolent Buckley Show is a 6-episode web series with Joe as the star, believe it or not. And we've got video content over there. Clash of the Commentaries, which is usually just Joe and I watching a movie and yelling at each other. So if you like the more angry shit and the cussing and hurting each other's feelings, you could by all means check out Clash of the Commentaries. And
we've got some nice Bucky Larson content.
Yeah, Midnight Myths and Mysteries, which is another show where Joe and Trevor try to uncover urban legends and other ghostly myths, and there's a lot of fun on that too. So yeah, go to Malevolent Movies, give it a like, hit the little bell too, so you get notified when these
make
videos
sure
go live.
you get notified whenever we do a new video.
Yeah, and if you like it, tell your friends, tell your family members.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're in quarantine.
Plug it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Plug it on Discord.
Your grandma might be interested in all these Shining theories, so let her know about it.
My grandma actually had a big problem with something we did. Apparently, I called my place of work a shithole, and she said I shouldn't do that online.
So she listened. The flu birds. Okay.
Yeah. She watched that apparently.
So what does your grandma think about? Maybe this could be an episode down the road. I don't know.
Okay, I show my grandma a nice video.
No, maybe your grandma comes on here with us.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, she might have a heart attack.
Maybe
if she
you
listens
sit
to
out
me.
an episode, and I hang out with your grandmother, and we talk.
Okay.
That might be.
I don't think she'd enjoy that.
That might be opening up some layers to the Joe Buckley mythos right there.
Yeah, he's very lazy. He's a lazy boy. He won't come pick up the rocks.
So yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in and listening, and make sure you come back for the next episode where we continue to examine the insides of the man with no brain.
Hell yeah. Do we have a sign off? We could do something like, it's been fun, skedaddle.
I thought that was the sign off, but if you want to do, skedaddle, Joe, if you want skedaddle to be the sign off of this podcast, you know what? Carte blanche, you can have it. Go ahead and do it.
All right. Skedaddle.
There it is. That's like the new Bazinga from that one fucking show. What was
the Big
Bang Theory? Yeah, ours is skedaddle.
Yeah.
There'll be T-shirts with skedaddle on them.
All right. Well, I gotta go pee. I gotta go release some water in my bowels, if you know what I mean.
Skedaddle.
Skedaddle.
Jesus.
Yeah.